Nedco, Lincoln, Nebraska, the largest certified development company in the state of Nebraska, administering the SBA 504 loan program. Today, we're talking about projects throughout the state. We have Jason Culver, our head of credit, Will Sailors, our loan officer, and Andrew Schnorr, our portfolio manager. We thought it might be interesting to share some of the projects we're working on here in mid-July 2023 in the state of Nebraska. So we'll start with Jason. And what loans you're working on today, Jason?
I've got a pretty diverse list of projects in the pipeline right now. Anywhere from a trucking company to way out west. I've got a company that manufactures farming and implement type products. And, every now and then get a wedding facility, which has become really popular, at least in our part of the state.
Yeah. And then we'll switch over to you for a second, talk about a couple of your projects, then we'll go back to Jason again. But to put things in perspective here at Nedco, from the last 2 years of loan volume, about 150 projects, that makes us dollar for dollar and unit for unit the largest commercial lender in the state, just to put it in perspective. So, Will, what are you working on these days here in July?
Seeing some fast food and coffee shops, having fast food locations, those seem to be going on. Franchised fast food and coffee shops have been popular for me, and then also seeing some auto repair. So have a little bit of diversity and some in the food sector. Interesting to see that those are expensive projects going on, and with the higher interest rate, maybe those borrowers have done their research and found that people are still, even with inflation and the interest rate, projects still make sense for them at that standpoint. So that's kind of what I've been seeing.
Sure. And Andrew, in the loan closing pipeline and your closing documents, just maybe the last 4 or 5 loans, what's the nature of those loans? What's the business?
Well, we've had just a variety of things as usual. A couple doctor offices, such as dentists, chiropractors, maybe 1 or 2 daycares we've done in the recent past. Let's see, and then as Will mentioned, a couple restaurants and coffee shops. So
Sure. Jason, let's talk hotels. At one point in time, Nedco was the largest underwriter of hotel rooms in the state of Nebraska. And for a number of decades we were. We're not seeing as many hotel inquiries, but speak to hotels to our viewers, please.
Yeah, if you had asked me what my pipeline looked like a few years ago, I probably would have said a majority of it was hotels. Yeah, for a number of years, that was the largest industry for Nedco, both in terms of dollars and number of projects. So we really saw that decline during COVID for obvious reasons. But now that COVID's kind of in the rearview mirror, we're still not seeing a lot of movement among hotels as far as businesses, or rather the owners, buying and selling them. It used to be very common for them to swap between hotels, buy one, run it for a while, then move up into a bigger hotel. And that movement's just not happening. And since that movement's not happening, we're just not seeing a lot of demand for financing.
Sure. Will, could you speak a little bit to car washes? We have a lot of activity here in Nebraska, especially in Lincoln, Omaha, in the automated car wash business. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, there are, in particular in Lincoln, there's a lot of car washes being built. Seems like the market might be getting a little saturated in Lincoln, with several under construction and planned that we've just been seeing in the local paper. Big automated car washes, and then we have done projects in the past, and they are in our closing pipeline for a lot of the western part of the state with car washes. So yeah, those are popular. People need those new autos washed.
Sure. And Jason, for our listeners again, could you speak to industry concentration in a particular sector for an individual borrower? For instance, dollar-wise, how many dollars of a particular project or multiple projects does one have as eligibility, so to speak, Is it $1 million? Is it 5 million? What's the most they can do? And then they're, so to speak, tapped out.
Mm-hmm. That question definitely comes up, and a lot of times they want to know, can I do multiple loans? And if I do multiple loans, what's my limit? And that limit is going to be a combination of their 7A loans, if they have any, and 504 loans. And that limit is typically going to be 5 million. 5 million for the SBA portion. Now, as you know, we participate in much larger projects because our percentage that we participate in is anywhere from 30 to 40%, and then the bank is doing the other 50%. So it's 5 million for our portion. However, we're participating in much larger projects, and that 5 million can be spread out if they were to say do 2 loans and we participate at 2.5 on each. That's fine.
Sure.
And then there are a few exceptions to that. Small manufacturers are allowed to go up to 5.5 million. And then green energy projects, those can actually go up to 16.5 million. Not that we've seen anybody do that, but it is a possibility.
Sure, sure. And then Will, for you, it comes up here a lot. We are our geographic area of operation is the state of Nebraska, anywhere in the state of Nebraska. But we in certain situations we can do projects, and we do them fairly often in other states. But there's a special circumstance for those. I'd like you to describe that to the viewers. And then also we have other people that want to come into the state of Nebraska to do a 504 loan. And there are certain circumstances for that too. So could you speak to the first set of going out of state? And then Jason, would you speak to the ones coming in state? And then we'll close.
So for Netco going out of state, if you have an existing loan with us and you want to do another loan out of state, say in New Jersey, Kansas, Iowa, anywhere, you have to have a loan with us first. That's the most important thing, an existing loan in the portfolio. And then we can do another loan with you outside of state as an expansion of that loan if it has the same ownership structure as your current loan here with us, or else besides that, we are just limited to Nebraska only if you don't have a loan with us. So we wouldn't be able to go outside of the state.
Sure. And Jason, with people wanting to do loans 504 in the state of Nebraska, our policy.
That comes up as well, where they'd like to participate in a project here in state, and they're located in another state. As long as the building that they would like to purchase is in Nebraska, then it's fine, even if that business is located out of state. But typically for a out of state 504 project to occur, you need an exception like Will was talking about, where you've done one with that CDC before, or you can also get the CDCs in that state to provide a waiver. However, in practice, that's just not practical.
Sure. We're Nedco, Nebraska Economic Development Corporation, Nebraska's largest certified development company, nedcoloans.org. Please take a look at our website, and thanks for viewing today.